guys, it's Reagan and welcome to the start of another reading vlog. This reading vlog is all about some cozy fantasy and just some atmospheric romantic fantasy, and I could not be more excited about my TBR. So truth be told, I have just been in such the reading mood that it was hard to like pick what I wanted to read because I kind of wanted to read everything, which has not recently been the case. So I'm like really happy that that is what is going on. But I'm happy to report I'm super pumped about my TBR for this video, so let's chat about the books. So both of them I feel like are great fall leaning reads. I would say my primary book of this vlog is If Fire Endless by Rebecca Ross. I love Rebecca Ross's writing. I loved Divine Rivals, and I loved the first book to this duology, which is A River Enchanted. Her writing is beautiful and lush, her characters are fantastic, and there's always usually like a compelling romance within the story too. It's a romantasy leaning tale, but a combination of things that personally just really sings for me when it comes to that genre. And hopefully I want to finish this rather quickly and then pivot to The House Witch, which is a cozy fantasy story centering a witch main character who becomes a chef in a castle, and he kind of gets drawn into a variety of castle politics, which just sounds fun and charming and much lower stakes, which is kind of also something I'm sort of craving. But these are the two books I'm hoping to read, and I can't wait. I'm actually gonna sit down and do some reading now, and we'll see how far we get. My kitchen is so cute for fall, but I'm also back on my forbidden afternoon coffee game. I was so good for a little while and I've kind of fallen off the wagon, but I've just been so sleepy. When 2 o'clock, like past 2 o'clock hits, it's like coffee or I don't know, nap time, and I just can't be taking naps right now. I also just love my confidence for including 2 books in this vlog. And this book is like 500 pages long. But you know what? We're gonna go in with all the confidence. We're just gonna see how far I can get. You never know. You truly never know. Hello. I have a reading update. So I have read the first 70 pages of this book and I'm really liking it. I have a sneaking suspicion that I might even like this book more than the first one, which is saying something because I give the first one like 4.25 stars. It was so good. But let's talk about what this book is about a bit. So this book is set on a very strange island called Sarsha. I think that's how you say it. Here, magic exists. And in the beginning of the first book, we're introduced to one of our main characters. So this book is multi-POV, and this sequel is even more multi-POV. But we're introduced to one of our main characters named Jack. And Jack is from this island, but he's been gone for the past 10 years because he's training to be a bard. Until at the beginning of the book, he's called back home by kind of like the ruler there to help solve this case of missing girls who are just disappearing on the island. This island has a very complicated history. There are basically 2 different groups of people living on this island, one on the eastern and one on the western side. And they have a strong hatred towards each other. One side of the island is very lush, there's lots of food, there's beautiful landscapes, but the magic there is incredibly dangerous and kind of leaves a lasting mark and has a lasting impact on the health of people who use magic there. On the other side of the island, magic is rich and strong and powerful, but the landscape itself is like barren, so food is very hard to come by. And the land itself is also magical, and you kind of get this sense that like stories and elemental creatures like all sort of exist. And again, our main character is a bard, so like stories and the history of this island is very significant to him and also proves to be very significant to the first book. He arrives back there, he has to work with his childhood arch nemesis to try to figure out what's going on. We're also introduced to other characters, someone from the guard, a healer on the island, Jack's family. It's so good. Rebecca Ross does such a great job writing such interesting characters, really creates this complex look at a community that has been in pain and like they hate each other, but they also clearly have a lot in common. And there's a desperation that exists on both sides, despite how much they don't really want to like have something in common with the other. And the first book was really intense, not only in the mystery, but also just the conclusion, and it ended on quite the cliffhanger, which is where we're at the beginning of book 2. And I just feel like the escalation of a lot of stuff is going to get even more intense. Not only the community aspects, looking inwardly, at the dynamics of a community, all the good and ugly parts. What's also really interesting about this book is that in book 1, we are primarily on just one side of the island, but now we have eyeballs on both sides, which I think just adds like more layers, and we have a deeper insight into the magical component of this island and how all of these things are intrinsically connected, and it's just super compelling. I also just love the writing style and just the structure of this book so much. I was quickly just pulled right back in and captivated by the entire thing. and I flew through the first 70 pages, but now I actually need to get ready because surprise, surprise, I can't wear a sweater out into the world. It's way too hot for that. And I have book club tonight. So I'm gonna go get dressed. I'm gonna go meet up with my friends. We're gonna have book club, have a beer, eat a kolache, talk about The Guest by Emma Cline. Then I'll be back here hanging out with Clay, and I will definitely be reading more of this book tonight because it's so good and it's so vibey. I love Rebecca Ross, truly. Hello, this is my OOTD. Anyway, I gotta go, I'm running late, but we love a fall coated but summer lightweight dress, yeah?
I also like want to hang out with my friends, like go to parties. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like maybe that'll convince them. Like give her a little FOMO.
Back home with my baes, watching our fave Jersey Shore. And then I'm gonna go read. Hello everyone, good morning. Let's do a reading update because I've read 120 pages and I definitely have plans, Please being so silly right now. And I definitely have plans to read more today after I finish work. I also need to shower, but you know, that's maybe TMI. But I'm really liking this book a lot. The vibes, the writing style, everything about it has pulled me back in basically immediately. And I do feel like it's actually incredibly important to note that there's a lot more POV characters than just Jack, who I kind of focused on when I introduced this book, who is our bard character. We also have Adria, who is such a fantastic character, and I always love reading from her point of view. Obviously, Jack on the island as the bard, not only is he in tune with the music and the stories of this place, but he also uses music to speak with the elements and like the magical parts of this island directly. But because that is magic, it's incredibly draining and dangerous. So that's kind of his part of this book. We also have Adria, who is politically important on the eastern side of the island. And again, because all of the tension that exists between East and West, there's a lot of complexities there. And she's kind of on the forefront of this particular situation. And in the second book, we actually have a lot more eyes and a location in the West, which has been so interesting to kind of see more about that side of the island. And obviously it humanizes and creates a lot more empathy for the reader and our characters as we kind of get some firsthand experience with that. And the politics are like just much different than the eastern side. And then we also have Sidra, who is a healer, and her role is obviously incredibly significant as the magical ailments that run wild on the eastern side of the island are incredibly dangerous. So you see her as kind of a pillar of the community and someone who people come to try to seek guidance and help from. And her chapters are currently giving me so much anxiety because there is a new plight that is impacting the island, a mystery, something that's dangerous and slowly creeping along, and that's definitely a big plot element of this. And lastly, we read from Torrhen's point of view, who is another politically powerful person on the eastern side. Adria and him were very close growing up. He's also married to Sidra, so there's like all of these dynamics at play too. He's more quiet and he's like trying to come into understanding and like kind of processing through the mantle of power, which I'm loving so much. So there's just so many great characters in this series. All of them have different roles, kind of exist in different places within the island, but they're all very much connected, and so are their like storylines, because they're all significant, but they're all exploring different things. And I am just like fascinated going from different perspective to perspective, which just makes reading this book so fun. Like, I'm sad to leave someone because usually they kind of end on mini cliffhangers, but I'm so excited to be back in the point of view of someone else. And there's just a lot of like romance and really lovely relationships at play too between all of these characters. And it's not just, I should say, like romantic love, but there's familial love and complicated familial love that's really explored within this series, which I'm enjoying. But I feel like I read the first 120-ish pages of this so quickly, and I can't wait to read more. It's just gripping me. It also is just such good, like, atmospheric, cozy fall reading vibes, you know? 10 out of 10 so far. 10 out of 10. Look at Millie being so cute. So cute. Sunbathing by her window. We spend the day just moving this bed around. In fact, I think it should technically be over here in the direct sunlight. I will let Clay know, Matilda. Sorry to have skirted our responsibilities. I am showered and dressed, and it's time for lunch. I had elaborate lunch plans ready to go, but truthfully, all I want is a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. So that is what we're making. PB&J's slap, you know what I mean? They land They land hard sometimes, and that's what we're making. Delectable, stunning, perfect. Time to eat. I made a second PB&J. More Real Housewives time. Alrighty guys, I'm going to do some reading. I have a forbidden afternoon cup of coffee, and I'm so excited to get more pages read of this book because I am so enjoying it, like so much, and I just need to read. I've just been screwing around and I hate that feeling. I owe y'all a reading update because I have passed the 200 page mark of A Fire Endless, and I'm loving this book. I feel like the first book had a lot of angst and drama, don't get me wrong, but just even that little bit more time where we already feel established with the characters, I feel like it's just brought this story to like all new heights. I'm addicted, I'm nervous, I'm anxious, I am shifting from all these different points of views, and just so many different things are happening. And it's not only like an intriguing plot, but there's just so many emotional stakes between the characters too. Like I'm gasping, I'm shocked, I'm nervous. It's just everything is kind of coming together in a way that's just very satisfying, even though I still have a lot left. Like, not the plot hasn't come together per se, but like the stakes are coming together where you feel just so perfectly invested in everything that's going on that you're anxious about it. And then the combination of inputs from just the character dynamics and also just the plot and the community drama and the island drama is just really, really well balanced. And I'm also just loving this location change with quite a few characters now existing in the West. It just adds a whole new layer to this book and story, and it's so good. It's just so easy to read. Like every time I pick it up, I feel like I can fly through another chunk of it, which just feels great, you know? So yeah, 200 pages read. I'm definitely gonna read more, but I do wanna go watch the US Open and watch Coco Gauff play and eat a popsicle and make dinner, and then I will read. So those are my plans in order. So go team. These popsicles are so good. I have 2. And watching the semifinals, cheering on Coco Gauff. Up my mushrooms. Dinner is in progress, and I'm now gonna set you down and chop up a couple onions as well because we're making lettuce wraps for dinner tonight. Delicious. Lettuce wrap mixture is done. One of my favorite quick and easy dinners. And I also steamed some broccoli to have on the side. Bon appetit. It's that time of year. Accidentally staying up so late to watch this match because it's been bananas. This is what happens. Clay and I watch sports documentaries, and then we get into more sports, and then I feel like all we do is watch sports. And Miss Hilda's over there just absolutely vibing. Hello everyone, good morning. This coffee is very needed because I stayed up so late last night watching tennis. But I'm also happy to report I have passed the 300 page mark of A Fire Endless, and I am obsessed with this book. It's everything I could have wanted. It's even better than I thought it was going to be. I'm loving it even more than A River Enchanted. Just the stakes, the emotional dynamic. I am compulsed to read this. I am like gasping. I reached a point of like no return, I'm gonna say, where like I'm just flying through the pages. I feel like it's been a second since I've read something of this style and genre where I simply could not put it down. Just completely compulsive, and I'm like, my heart is racing, I'm stressed, but like in all of the best way possible. You know, like when you're reading a book where you're just like so invested, it's hurting you so much, but you just have to know what's gonna happen next. That is what's going on with this book, and I just feel like the plot dynamics of this just make it so emotional, because a lot of this book is like there's magical pain, there's this blight, there's this curse on the land, there is this division and difficulty amongst the spirits, as there's like this one king who's been controlling things amongst the spirits for 2 centuries, and he is like not a good guy, and there's blight upon the land, all of these things. But this also manifests though in the dynamics between the humans. Obviously we have the island itself, which is divided between east and west, and there's just such a history of pain and violence. Like everyone kind of has a reason to dislike or distrust each other, but ultimately like it's tragic in the way that, and it makes it so tragic because to begin the process of healing you have to let go of the pain, but there's so much pain that it just feels impossible. It feels insurmountable. Like everyone or so many people have hurt the others just over generations, and it's like, dang, it's so complicated, you know, but you also just like want everyone to just lay down arms and give each other a hug, and that just like the dissonance and the complexity of this is just making it so good. I've officially reached part 3, and there's a lot of different things happening at once. That I also just have to laud the author. Like every perspective is a banger. I am excited to be reading from every perspective and also heartbroken to be leaving the previous perspective. Usually I feel like sometimes you read multi-POV books where like some stuff, some action is like so good you don't want to leave and you like dread coming back to another set of chapters from other characters. That's not how I feel because everyone's got something going on and I am stressed. And might I also just say the writing style of this is impeccable, absolutely atmospheric, absolutely capturing this vibe of magic and just the ambiance. I'm having a blast. I'm so happy I picked this book up. I should have read it sooner. Rebecca Ross. I love her so much. So yeah, reading update, 300 pages in. I'm definitely wanting to read more today, but I got stuff I gotta do. So let's pray I'm so productive that I can sneak in some reading. So that's the plan. That's the update. I'm gonna go get dressed now and start my day, but I had to just let you guys know, 300 pages in, and it's truly over for me. River Enchanted, A Fire Endless, oh, it's such a good duology. For the unmade bed, but hey, I got dressed. She's up, she's dressed, ready to take on the day. I do need to dust this mirror, but I'm gonna take this as a win and then go make lunch. If you thought you were about to see anything but a PB&J, you were absolutely fooling yourself. Bon appetit. Hey guys, it's been a few hours. I went to the eye doctor and I got my yearly eye exam, which includes getting your eyes dilated. So I'm now sitting inside wearing sunglasses. The only distressing thing about this is I only have about 100 or so pages left of my book, and it's not the most comfortable to read right now because your eyes are dilated, like close up is blurry. So I'm just counting down the minutes until I can finish my book. Tragic. I also can't play my Switch handheld, so I need this to hurry up. Fae Farm came out today, so in the meantime, I am watching tennis. I recorded it so I could watch it after work. Good morning, everyone. It is time for some coffee. I'm so into my book, and it's making me so emotional and stressed at the same time, but it's so good. I have come to the conclusion, actually, I've been thinking about this. I don't know why I started this off so serious, but something I really love about this series and just Rebecca Ross's writing in general is I feel like she's really good at giving us a soft boy male protagonist, and this can come in like various forms, but I feel like often in fantasy books that center romance really heavily, we often have a male love interest that's like a beefcake, which don't get me wrong, I love a beefcake. I love someone who's, you know, not in real life, but in fantasy books. I got this TikTok actually that was like, if a man tried to say anything to me that I read in the books, like it's like, get the F away from me, get the F away from me, which is so true. But anyway, oftentimes male love interests in fantasy novels are like big, strong, intense, grumpy, that sort of thing. Not always, but often. But I feel like Rebecca Ross is so good at giving us like variety and a different vibe, and I think we especially see that with Jack. I love Jack as a male love interest. I love that he's artistic. I love that he's like poetic, and the way that he speaks about his love interest just like melts my heart. He like serenades her quite literally with music, but also just like the way that he speaks about her and like the way he moves about his life. He also is like softer than her, and I love that dynamic. I love that she is the one that's like, get behind me, I'll protect you, or perhaps is like a bit stronger in the way that she's more direct or more used to leading people and this type of thing, and Jack is more used to creating, and you know, he's brave very much in his own way. I'm not trying to say he's not brave at all. He's very, very brave, but he's just like a different type of character, and I just love him, and I love the dynamic of their relationship. And I feel like Rebecca Ross does this often. Divine Rivals, I love the character dynamics in that, and again, I just feel like she gives us a bit more variety with our male love interests within a fantasy setting, which I just appreciate immensely. And I also just love how they simp so hard for the main characters and basically write poetry all the time. You know, I think maybe that's it. She makes her male love interests either write like heart-wrenching love letters, love songs, like the way they speak about the people they're in love with just like makes you want to cry, because it's just so lovely and beautiful, and you're like, yes, she deserves this. And you also read from their perspective, so you love them. It just like, it's so sweeping. It gives me, you know, the vibes of like Pride and Prejudice when Mr. Darcy is like spilling his guts out. You know, like the Regency romance books, or just the historical romance books where, you know, like language is a big part of like love. And sometimes we lose that in fantasy or romantasy because it's a lot of like grunting or like, you know, more shown in other ways, which again, I love those books and I love to read those books, but I love a serenade, you know? Anyway, I'm just like, my heart is melting, but I'm also so distressed. The romance, which is impeccable, combined with such a stressful plot line that also has so many layers. I'm so emotional. I already know I'm gonna cry. Like, I already feel it coming. I've already like missed it up, so like the crying is incoming. I have so little left of this book. I have about 80 pages. It's going down and it's gonna take me with it. But anyway, I just wanted to give a shout out to Rebecca Ross's main male love interest writing. It's not everyone, because I think Torrin in this book is a good example of a more traditional fantasy love interest, but at the same time, I love how soft he is for his love. And I don't know, I just love how she writes men, I guess, fictional men. For lunch, I opted to make like a chopped Italian salad, and this is Exhibit A, why cooking is better than cleaning. Look at this disaster. I am a mess in the kitchen, and it's not my problem, because I cook and eat, and I do not clean in this household. Alrighty guys, I don't think I'm emotionally prepared for this, but I'm gonna sit down now and finish this book, process my feelings, and then we'll wrap up this vlog, okay? I'm not okay. I mean, I'm great. The book was fantastic, but also I'm emotionally distressed. If you're wondering if I cried, the answer is yes, definitely 100%. I am here though to wrap up this vlog because I finished this book and it's about 500 pages. I'm sad I didn't get to start my second book, the cozy kind of witch novel, but I'm gonna definitely push myself next vlog to try to read, oh, it's so gloomy outside, 2 books, because 2 books at once, so I can kind of split my moods. But let's talk a bit more about A Fire Endless, because this book was great. I mean, it's such a beautiful feeling when a series wraps up and you're like crying and just so invested. I loved how everything culminated and came together. Not only did it make sense from a plot point of view, but it matched the style and vibe of the story since the first page of the first book. And I just love how it ended. And like, what a thing to say. What a relief. A duology, solid from beginning to end. Both books were fantastic. I honestly feel like the sequel was even better than the first one, which is another rare occurrence. The pacing had me hooked immediately. I felt like the plot was perfectly drawn out, but it wasn't agonizing. We got little bits of information as we went along, so I just felt myself flipping through the pages and I was just amazed. I felt like everything that was set up from the first book to the second book, like it all kind of interlocked together, lockstep. I loved the concept, I loved the message, I loved the characters, I loved the story. Clearly, as I said, crying. Yeah, so this is just a gush. I loved this book and I loved this series by Rebecca Ross. Rebecca Ross has definitely cemented herself into a new favorite author. I think I've actually technically read all of her books. Her debut I didn't love. I loved her writing, but the plot wasn't great for me. But since A River Enchanted, this series, and then Divine Rivals, like, it's over for me. I'm gonna be reading all of her books right away. I just feel like it's the perfect balance of romance and fantasy for me. Like, her combination of things just are stellar and I'm addicted, absolutely addicted. So there we are. I read a beautiful, perfect, atmospheric romantasy read and it was 5 out of 5 stars. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video and I will see you soon with another video soon. Goodbye.